Good morning, everyone. One of my favorite stories I love is the story that's told by Rabbi Pliskin. He tells the story about this kid who is a redhead, flaming red hair. And he comes home one day crying. His father says, "What's the matter?" He says, "The kids in my class are making fun of me. They're calling me Gingy." And he's crying. He doesn't want to go back to school. His father says, "Go, it'll be okay." Every day the kid's crying. Everyone's taunting me in the school, calling me Gingy. Father came up with an idea. Came to his kid with a notebook and a pen. He says, "This is what I want you to do, my son. You go to school tomorrow, and every time someone in the class calls you Gingy, make a line in the notebook. When we get home, I'm going to count how many lines, and for every line, you're going to get $1. So the kid comes to school. The kid says, "Gingy." Now, normally he would say, and start fighting and screaming. He was like smiling. He makes a line. Next, Gingy, makes another line. Comes home that day, 13 lines. His father gives him $13. Next day, goes back. Only 8 kids called him Gingy. Next day, 5 kids called him Gingy. They weren't getting the reaction. He wasn't getting frenzied and crazy and yelling and crying. They weren't getting the reaction, so they stopped. Within a week, it was all over. This week's Parsha, Yaakov addresses every one of his children and blesses them. But he also tells them words that are not blessing, words that are rebuke, to tell them how they need to change their character. And that teaches us a lesson, that sometimes when you point out to your children, the people you love, their character flaws, that's a blessing to them. You don't only tell them what they want to hear. Sometimes you have to tell them what they don't want to hear so they could change their ways and become better. And by doing that, they receive the greatest blessing from you as a parent. So what does he say to Reuben? He says, "Reuben, yeser se'es v'yeser az. You're the first of my children. You are the first of my strength, my firstborn child. You rightfully should have inherited both priesthood and kingship. But instead, the kingship's going to go to Judah. The priesthood's going to go to Levi. Why did you forfeit the blessings of priesthood and kingship as the firstborn child?" Because he says, "Pachas kamayim. You're unstable like water. You're impetuous. You're impulsive." And what Yaakov was referring to was, of course, the sin of after the death of his mother Leah, he rearranged the beds of his father to be, after the death of Rachel, he rearranged the beds to put his mother Leah's bed in his father's bedroom, in the tent of his father, because he was upset that Yaakov went and took the maidservant of Rachel over his mother. But he acted impetuous and he did something he should not have done. You don't go into your father's tent and rearrange beds. That's not your place. And he says, because you're unstable like water, you're impetuous, you're impulsive, you forfeited the birthright. And the question is, why is Yaakov using the analogy of water? He could have just said, you're impetuous, you're unstable, you're impulsive. Why does he, what's he adding with like water? So the commentaries explain, when you have a cup of water on the table, right? If you knock the table just slightly, the water goes flying, right? If you have something more stable on the table, not liquid, a substance, you give it a knock, nothing happens. It might not even move or move a drop. But water right away tips over. Some people are like water. Some people are more substantive. They're more firm. They're more thicker, so to speak, thicker substance. You give them a knock, they don't go, everything spills out. You know, you give them a knock, you say something, okay, I can handle it. Other people like water. You say one word, boom, the water goes spilling. They tip over. They can't control things. So he says you're unstable like water. But what's the idea that he's trying to tell them about water? So you ever hear the expression, he got me all riled up. He got me all stirred up. If you have a cup of wine, let's say, right? Liquid, wine. And on the bottom, all the sediments fall to the bottom, right? And you want to drink it, and you don't want the sediments on the bottom to go into you. So what do? You gently pick it up, and you calmly drink the glass of wine, and the sediments stay on the top. But if you shake it up, on the bottom. But if you shake it up, and then you drink it, you're going to drink all the sediments. Every person has within themselves negative characteristics, negative traits, negative behavior patterns. But they fall down to the bottom like those sediments. As long as you stay calm, you don't get excited, you don't lose your head, you don't get all tipsy, so to speak, all stirred up, all riled up, you respond in a calm way. You don't allow those sediments to come back up to the surface. But when you lose your temper and you get angry and you start getting all riled up, then unfortunately those negative sediments start, those character traits, anger and all of those negative traits come back to the surface and they all come flowing out. And so Yaakov tells Reuven a lesson that we all have to learn in life. We have to have peace of mind. And the way you do that is many ways. One thing is like Yosef in this expression, you have trust in Hashem. But another way is to be more substantive and know who you are and not be disturbed by what other people tell you. You know, if somebody comes over to you and your name is David and starts screaming, Jack, you're this, starts cursing you out, you smile because I'm not Jack, you know, I'm David, so you're talking to the wrong person. The fact that you get angry means you're buying into what they say. You believe it about yourself. If you truly don't believe it about yourself, then it wouldn't upset you because you're talking to the wrong person. That's not me who you're describing. So if what someone tells you is true, get to work and make changes. If it's not true, it shouldn't perturb you, it shouldn't bother you in the first place. But like Reuven, we have to learn to, what Yaakov tells Reuven, that we always have to, menuchat hanefesh, we can't allow external events to disturb our internal equilibrium and peace of mind.